We welcome you one final time in 2025 to Eastern Iowa OT. We've brought you highlights from over 100 games this season, an incredible cast of shooters and production staff who've helped bring this show together every single week. And before we say goodnight for one final time, we still need to send some teams to the UNI-Dome. The state quarterfinals underway. Only 56 teams still in the hunt for a state title coming into the week. That number gets cut in half by the time our show is through, starting with Liberty and Southeast Polk. These teams met in the semis of last year's 5A playoffs. That game, a thriller at the Dome, was won by the Rams 38-35. Then earlier this season, Liberty returned the favor, dominating Southeast Polk on their home field. Had the running clock going in the second half of that game, but all is made new in the playoffs. These teams meeting for the third time in the last 360 days. The winner earns a spot back at the Dome. The loser's season is over without the chance to play indoor football. And on a cold night in North Liberty, Southeast Polk comes out guns blazing. First play from scrimmage, Drew Thompson takes a handoff, and he is ghosting this Liberty defense. 74 yards, nearly untouched. 20 seconds into the game, and the Rams are up 7-0. But you think Scott Chandler is scared? Think Reese Reddig is rattled? Think again. Watch Reddig on a little jump pass to Pryor Reiners. This is executed to perfection, and the Bolts have tied the game at 7. Now we go to the second quarter. It's 4th and goal, just inches away from the goal line for Southeast Polk. And that mammoth offensive line helps Boston Bailey push his way into the end zone. And the Rams have retaken the lead 14-7. The Rams have got the ball again, and they are looking for more, but they muff the handoff. Eric Strunk, he is the man on the bottom of the pile, and the Bolts are back on offense. And they're down in the red zone now. Run a little jailbreak screen for Brody Beaver, chopping wood and sawing off his first touchdown of the season. Liberty's got this game tied back at 14. After a 3-and-out by Southeast Polk, Liberty has the ball again right before the break. Colin Weiss lined up for a 42-yard field goal, and he sneaks this inside the right crossbar, 1 yard short of a career-long. 17-14 Liberty at halftime. Just a sensational game in North Liberty. Went back and forth in the fourth quarter, but Liberty comes out with a 31-28 win, avenging that semifinal loss from last season, knocking off the 4-time defending state champions, and the Lightning are dome-bound for the second year in a row. One more Iowa City team with a shot at the Dome, Iowa City West. Once a dynasty. They haven't been to the state semifinals since 2017. And that drought's going to last a little while longer because this game was all about Dowling. First quarter, Joey Nahas to Jeffrey Roberts, the future Cyclone, putting the Maroons in front. Reese Wheeler, he's been the driving force of this Iowa City West offense all year. To Julian Manson in his final game before heading to the Hawkeyes. Manson with a big play down the sideline to get the Trojans in the red zone, but the drive is cut short as Wheeler tries to go for 6, and he's picked off by Jeremiah Roberson. Dowling would capitalize on their next drive with a Ian Middleton touchdown. Had a running clock going in the fourth quarter, and Dowling wins 35-0. So here's a look at the 5A semis coming next Friday night. Battle of West Des Moines teams between Valley and Dowling. That'll be another all-timer. Liberty will face Waukee Northwest, who spent several weeks this year as the #1 team in the state. If Liberty can pull off a win, it'd send them into the championship game for the first time in school history. In Class 4A, Xavier's felt a lot like Ohio State this year. For weeks, they've been the presumed #1 team in the state, and still nobody really talking about them. But the Saints are about to get some folks talking. A potential return to the Dome for the first time since winning it all in 2022. Who else but Mish Fick to watch the Saints try for a spot in the Final Four?
I know, it maybe just feels like there's not much else to say about the Saints. Aside from that one-score game where they won in Week 2 against Western Dubuque, and then remember they were down 14-0 in the first quarter to Clear Creek Amanda the following week. It's been Xavier and then everyone else since then. They score 40-plus a game, only give up 10 a game. It's just how it goes at Schulte & Sons Football Company. All 4 Schulte men on the sidelines this season. Father Dwayne, the head coach, of course. Eldest son Reggie there. Middle son Bryce applauding. And youngest son Quinn. Just West Side guys doing their jobs. All quarterbacks in their day. But defense setting the tone early against ADM. Nolan Wilgenbush everywhere tonight for Xavier. Gets a sack on the opening drive. Saints offense with no issues out of the gate. Carter Hoffman gets the scoring started on the far side of the field. 7-0 Saints early. Ensuing Tigers drive. They're punting until they're not. You heard it right there. Max Doherty gets a paw on it. Xavier takes over deep in ADM territory after a penalty on top of everything else. Saints just making it look easy. Cash Parks, one of his 4 touchdown passes tonight out to Hoffman. Nothing but green in front for the Navy and Silver. 14-0 Xavier. Late in the quarter, more from Wilgie. A 3rd and short for ADM. No dice for the Deuce there. Saints have the 2-score lead going into the second. First play of the second quarter, Parks to a wide open Will Foreman. Xavier running away with it now at 21-0. Later in the second, Ty Weiss getting real nice. A sweep here going for 30 yards and another 6 points. Breaks some tackles along the way too. 28-0 lead for Xavier. ADM just trying to get something going before the half to maybe just stop the bleeding a bit, but it's going to be Michael Bean coming down with the pick for Xavier. What else can you say? Domination from the number 1 team of the state. 45-7 your final from Saints Field. Xavier back at the Dome for the first time in 3 seasons. 12th trip to the state semifinals in school history. All of those have happened in the last 20 seasons. Xavier gets Newton in the 4A semifinals next Thursday in Cedar Falls.
Rack focus king Mitch Fick on that opening shot there. Well, we've got the 4A semis set in stone. Xavier will face Newton in the semis next Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Xavier 3-0 all time against Newton. And in the other semifinal, it's Sergeant Bluff, Luton, and Pella. Dutch with a 7-6 win over Decorah tonight to get back to the UNI-Dome. When we come back, our game of the week is a rewind to a previous game of the week seen previously just a month and a half ago. West Delaware and Wahlert. One season lives on and one team stays home for the month of November. And could we have history in the making down in Wellman, Mid-Prairie, with a chance to reach the state semis for the first time in program history? The season finale of Eastern Iowa OT continues after the break.
Go hit somebody.
Middle, full huddle, full break, full huddle, full break. Deep middle, 4-4. Here we go. Cover. Ready? Break.
And then go option or go clock right. And if we go option lead left, even if that ends on you, leave him with the job and go to someone else. Okay.
Let's go. Yes, sir, JP. All night. All night.
In week 4, our game of the week took us to Brownfield in Manchester, where West Delaware narrowly beat Wahlert, a drop ball in the end zone by the Eagles, sealing that win for West Del. The game was so good the first time, we figured we'd run it back for the quarterfinal rematch. Patrick Smith on Highway 20, as Wahlert tries to keep their dreams of a repeat alive.
7 weeks later, they meet again. West Delaware, Wahlert Catholic, 2 teams that seem to never make it easy on each other. Last time it came down to a drop pass in the end zone. Tonight, it's more than bragging rights. It's a trip to the Dome on the line. The Golden Eagles aren't taking this one lightly. Hawks go 3 and out on their opening drive. Wahlert at their 25. Third down, JP Albert looking deep. Brody Shoemaker, an insane catch. Oh my, 7-0 Wahlert. That's the way you start the quarterfinals. Following drive for West Delaware on their 1, 4th and 1, a tush push up the middle, and it's fumbled into the back of the end zone. The trenches dug deep, recovered by the Golden Eagles. What a stand. Wahlert, they answered right back on the next play to make it 13-0. So moving forward, later in the half, Golden Eagles in their red zone. JP Albert, QB keeper to the right, finds a lane and gets on in. West Delaware in trouble, down 20. So the Hawks have 2 minutes to get down before half, close to their red zone. Jack Cantwell gets the handoff, is popped. The ball is loose and recovered by Wahlert. Everything that could go wrong for the Hawks has in the opening half. And the Golden Eagles deferred, so they start the second half with the ball, but it's the Hawks who strike first this time. They chew up nearly 8 minutes on the drive. Cantwell gets the jet sweep to the left, walking it in from the left side. That cuts it to 20-6, but Wahlert had plenty left in the tank. Albert airs it out again, this time to Anderson Herbst, 45 yards down to the 5-yard line. 2 plays later, Albert calls his own number once again, right up the middle for 6, 27-6. Wahlert and West Delaware, they just could not find a spark after that. Wahlert Catholic dominates from start to finish, and the Golden Eagles are heading back to the UNI-Dome, keeping their back-to-back title hopes alive.
We played West Delaware early in the season, came down to the wire. We knew this was one we wanted to get back, and we worked hard all week, and we performed.
It's a great feeling. It's so fun to coach these guys, and all they've done is everything that we've asked them to do, and it's just so rewarding to see them going back to the Dome because nobody thought we'd go back.
7 weeks after their loss to West Delaware, they look like a whole new team. Reporting in Manchester, I'm Patrick Smith for Eastern IOT.
All right, thanks, Patrick. Well, Solon's a win away from heading to the Dome as a 2 seed in the 3A field. The Spartans were far from a title contender in the preseason, but they've been on a tear this year. 42 points tonight. They're the highest scoring team in Class 3A. Winterset's first 2 possessions resulted in scores for the Spartans. Carson Cook's pass here deflected right into the hands of Maddox Kelly, who takes it 50 yards to the house for a Solon touchdown. Fast start for the Spartans. Next Husky drive stalls and a low snap on a punt. Blocked. Simon Einwalter jumps on the ball, and Simon says touchdown. Solon up 14-0 without an offensive snap. Big man excited for the score. Winterset need to get something going. Cook taking a deep shot. Caden Hoper bobbles the would-be pick, but Maddox Kelly grabs it off of the bobble for his second interception. He had 3 picks on the night. Kelly does it on defense and offense. Eli Campman scrambles on 3rd down, zips a laser to Kelly in the back of the end zone. Spartans up 21. Then to the start of the second half, Winterset pulls off a surprise onside kick, and they recover. Big momentum shift coming out of halftime. Huskies trying to mount a comeback. Wyatt Swanson on the counter cuts back and barrels into the end zone to make it 21-6. Scoreless game, though, in the fourth quarter, so those 21 first-half points send the Spartans back to the UNI-Dome. And by the way of a loss by Clear Lake to Nevada, Solon will be the top overall team heading into the 3A semis. They'll face Nevada next Saturday night, the last game of the semifinal weekend in Cedar Falls. And Dubuque Wahlert, still with their eyes on a repeat title, face Bishop Heelan in the semis next Saturday afternoon. Rarely do we get the chance to see a team make a first-ever trip to the UNI-Dome, but Mid-Prairie is on the brink of Golden Hawk history. A win tonight would give this team its first-ever glimpse of indoor football. Lauren Avenatti was on site as Mid-Prairie takes a shot at history.
And Owen, I really think that they looked the part tonight from start to finish. They were playing like they had something to prove, but was it enough to beat a decorated program in Van Meter? A trip to Cedar Falls on the line, and here we go. A bad snap puts the Bulldogs within their own 5-yard line, and they punt right into the hands of Hudson Ehrenfeld. This guy is an absolute animal. Takes it all the way to the house to put Mid-Prairie on the board first, and what a way to set the tone. Another first quarter score for the Golden Hawks with a pass from quarterback Brooks Weber to Caden Koss. So far in this game, it's all Mid-Prairie, but Van Meter says, nah, not so fast. Quarterback Henry Lounsbury keeps it himself and gets into the end zone to get something on the board for the Bulldogs. But Mid-Prairie comes back roaring with a monster touchdown pass from Weber to Kendrick Koss. And what a grab, but Van Meter not finished yet. Christian Williams with the touchdown to make it a 1-score game. And from there, it's all Bulldogs, shutting out the Golden Hawks in the second half, defeating them 28-21.
So Mid-Prairie is denied. Thank you, Lauren. So we will not have any local representation in the 2A semis. Osage edged out Albernet 12-7 tonight. So the Green Devils, they get to the Dome for the first time ever. And Kemper Catholic in the other semifinal to take on Wilton next Saturday. We're winding down the show into the smaller classes. Grundy Center with a chance not just to get back to the Dome, but a place in Iowa history with a win tonight against Beckman. We'll break that down coming up. And Regina may just have a date with Grundy waiting next week. Regals have lit up every single opponent this year. Will that trend continue into the state semis? The final semifinal pairings when we come back on Eastern Iowa OT. For 1,169 days, no team has gotten the better of Grundy Center. 167 weeks of perfection, 38 months of nothing but wins, and tonight the Spartans have a chance to etch a special place in the Iowa history books. Entering the quarterfinals, they've won 49 games in a row. Only two other teams in Iowa history have hit half 100 consecutive wins, but Grundy Center could join that exclusive group and in the process keep their dreams of a fourth straight championship alive. Just got to get past a Beckman Catholic team that's just 2 years removed from finishing 1-7. Blazers have been a stunning turnaround story. Tremendous start for the Spartans tonight. From the 45-yard line, it's Judd Jarofsky dialing up his own number. The QB draw goes for the long touchdown run. This is his 17th rushing score of the season, and it has Grundy Center on the board. Now the second quarter, Grundy is on the move again. Jarofsky is going to the air, but Carter White steps in for the interception. This is just the second pick that Jarofsky has thrown all season. But Grundy's got the ball back with 20 seconds before halftime from the 4. Jarofsky up the middle for another 6 points. 14-0 Grundy at the break. You know the drill. Spartans head back to the Dome for the 7th straight season, and this senior class has still not lost a game in their high school careers. So Grundy Center takes their next step toward Iowa history. 50 straight wins. Regina and Waterloo East are the only other schools to reach that plateau. No matter how this season ends, it has been an incredible run watching this Grundy team under Travis Zajac turn into a 1A dynasty. But the streak will have another uphill struggle over the next 2 weeks. The Class 1A field of semifinalists is an absolute gauntlet. Regina trying to join the party. The Regals, once regulars of the Dome, haven't made the trip to Cedar Falls since they won a state title in 2020. One last hurdle tonight against Pleasantville. And the Spartans back to receive the opening kickoff, and can't hardly imagine a worse start for the Spartans. Logan Roth fumbles the kick return. Hard to tell who's at the bottom of this pile, but Regina getting a massive break to start this game. Down in the red zone now, there are few better than Savion Miller, cutting through the line of scrimmage for his 15th touchdown of the season. And Regina's offense is off and running, but don't sleep on the defense either. Pleasantville down at the 1-yard line, trying to sneak across for the touchdown, but again, the ball comes out, and again, Regina is there to recover. Now we go to the second quarter, and QB Kyle Tracy faking the pitch, and watch this kid just go to work. Bobs and weaves through the Spartan defense, breaking tackles and breaking ankles, and he's in for the score. 14-0 Regina is rolling. Later in the second quarter, With a little bit of a screen pass to Tate Wallace. This kid is big, but he can move. Takes the ball down inside the red zone for Regina. Tracy would score a couple plays later, and just like old times, Regina is going back to the Dome for the first time since 2020. Another explosive offensive performance sends them back to Cedar Falls. This 1A semifinal round is going to be just bananas. Next Friday at 10 a.m., Grundy Center and Regina. Grundy's going to have all they can handle if they win a 7th straight trip to the championship game. And the other half of the bracket is West Lyon and South Hardin. These have been the best 4 teams in the state all year, and it's going to get nuts next Friday in Cedar Falls. Not a lot expected out of Wapsie Valley in the preseason. A 7-3 record last year, ranked 10th in the Register's opening polls, but on the shoulders of a running back flirting with a 2,000-yard season, the Warriors are a win away from reaching the semifinals for the first time since 2013. First meeting on record between Wapsie and Lynnville-Sully. Warriors with a 10-0 perfect season on the line out in Fairbank. Early in the first quarter, Lynnville's looking downfield, but Blake Hesse is there for the pick. This Warrior team has 17 interceptions this season. Hesse's got 3 of them, and their first points will come on defense. The Hawks QB going to get sacked in the end zone. I think this is Gavin Henry there for the stop, so it's a 2-0 Wapsie lead, and then they'll let Hunter Curley do his thing. This is the kid that's closing in on those 2,000 yards. He totes it down the near sideline to get the Warriors inside the red zone, and that'll set up a touchdown from Caden Dana. Great game out there tonight. Wapsie scored a touchdown with 30 seconds left to escape with a 6-point win, and the Dubs are going back to the Class A semifinals. So Wapsie makes its return to the Dome, and they will face St. Ansgar next Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. Saints beat Northland tonight, denying the Lynx their first ever trip to the Dome. And a couple of teams out in Northwest Iowa, West Sioux and MMCRU, will face off for a spot in the title game. We're wiping our hands of any further highlights here on Eastern Iowa OT. The end is nigh. After the break, I'll be welcoming a couple of friends into the studio as we look ahead at next week's semifinals and who might be in line for a state title. We'll shut the lights out when we come back on Eastern Iowa OT. All right, we're going to do something a bit different to close out this week's show. With the semis coming next week, thought I'd welcome in some other members of the EIOT crew to talk about some title favorites. Mitch Fick, as we head to the Dome next week, who do you think right now is in the best shape as a championship contender?
You're not going to believe this. I think it's the Xavier Saints. Again, 12 times in the last 20 years they've been to the semifinals, but we were talking on the sidelines to some folks tonight of just, do we remember a Saints team that's been this dominant? Yes, they've gone undefeated a bunch of times. They've won 4 state titles. If you take out that 8-point win over Western Dubuque in week 2, Xavier's average margin of victory this season is 34 points. They are just mollywhopping everybody, including tonight against a really good ADM team. They're already over 2,000 yards rushing for the season. They're on the cusp of going over 2,000 passing yards for the season. I don't know the last time Xavier had a 2,000-yard passer. Cash Parks has over 1,800 yards, 26 touchdowns, 1 pick. He has been outstanding. Carter Hoffman's pushing 1,000 yards rushing if he's not over that already. It is just a different type of domination from Xavier this season. It's been really impressive to watch. And again, Nolan Wilgenbush, one of the stars on that defense as well for Jim O'Connell.
I am personally fully bought in on Cash Parks. I've seen him play a couple times this year. Love watching him play. And Xavier, as I mentioned earlier, kind of like Ohio State, they've been number one, but just not a lot of people talking about him. Not a lot of gaudy numbers out there, but they just get the job done every week. Patrick, who are you liking right now?
The boys from Solon.
Can't go wrong.
I mean, I might have you beat here with Eli Campman. He leads the Class 3A with touchdowns, 33 on the year, over 2,000 yards passing. His wide receiver, Maddox Kelly, leads the 3A in receiving touchdowns. They average over 40 points a game in the regular season. Their defense, 20 combined points, just allowed in 7 games. The past 7 games, 20 points. They're going to get their first state title since 2010. I'm giving the boys from Solon.
We're talking about a lot of dynasties right now.
Yes.
Xavier and Solon. And, of course, I had to go with the team. My friends in Grundy Center might not like this pick, but I really like how Regina looks right now. Under second-year head coach Dustin Ellsbury, Regina's been so good all year. They've played 9 straight games where they've scored 40 or more points. They have 6 games this year where they've scored 50 or more points. Kyle Tracy is an outstanding quarterback. Savion Miller, great running back. Tate Wallace, he's a linebacker recruited by some of the biggest programs in the country. Great tight end, too. So much future Division I talent on that team. Love seeing what we have out of Regina, and I'm going to just be licking my chops for what we have next week in the state semifinals. See you next week, and see you next year on Eastern Iowa OT.